chemicals.
Something's leaking. Okay.
And you get this sort of reading from various numbers of the tubes, but also you specifically spot that there is a part of a tube that appears to be melted.
Huh. Okay.
She'll mention the various trace atmospheres, and then
Yeah,
it'll show
and
that
also,
melt.
is this tube composed of the same heat tiles that we've already been looking at?
Right, yes.
Okay, so it's the same heat tiles that can resist thousands of Celsius degrees. By the way, here's a tube that's melted. Okay, well, whatever's in there.
Right, the
stuff goes
growing
down.
concern here would be heading towards superheated literally anything.
Okay, also, crap. We have slug throwers and lasers, two of which are dangerous to use. Even if there's trace hydrogen and oxygen, that means that we might be able to start flash fires and combustibles. So be careful.
Yeah, a spark from a gun will probably do it.
Maybe we'll do it. We don't know. But let's not
Well,
find
it's a
out.
good thing warp entities don't start fires, right?
They don't.
Sir, I'm not full up on my history of the Hindenburg. Is pure hydrogen as flammable as pure oxygen is?
Well, the point is you can't burn without oxygen. The fact that there's both hydrogen and oxygen is the problem.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the problem. And also,
Well, I just can't remember which gas the Hindenburg was and which one.
Hydrogen.
Okay, so it is a problem. Okay.
And you have to have the right mix. Like they had lots of hydrogen blimps before and after the Hindenburg. It was just the Hindenburg was the perfect storm.
Right. Hindenburg really has nothing to do with this conversation. It's the only thing I can remember that was filled with hydrogen or the other.
This whole place is filled with deadly explosive helium.
Well, it's also worth noting that if you're a spacer, one of the weapons you can start the game with is the compressed air rifle, which is completely safe to use in this environment, and also none of us actually have it.
I did start as a spacer, but I didn't get that weapon.
You get the choice between the laser and the air, and
I think I definitely chose the laser.
We all chose the laser because
lasers are so cool.
I'm high tech background. I'm not spacer, so I just started with lasers. So okay. So we just keep going. All right, let's make a note of that. But we're looking for some kind of access panel or other feature. Anything. If we see another fan, maybe we'll go back.
Well, the atmosphere seems to be our best guess because that's where anything is happening or could be functional.
The problem is it's hydrogen and oxygen. That's not a breathable atmosphere.
Right, but it's also the only thing we have to go on.
Right. Well, do you want to go in the side passage that's all burned out, or do you want to keep exploring up the shaft?
I say let's go towards the burnt out one and be aware of temperature. Let's think non-flammable thoughts.
Yvonta, do you have any opinions on this?
Well, I was considering heading towards the oxygen, but I had no good reason other than it's oxygen.
Let's go explore the burnt out shaft. My children will avenge me. Let's go look inside it. Maybe it has serviceable components. We will climb inside the burned out shaft.
You mean the melting one? Melted.
The melted one, yes.
Okay. Sorry, just bringing up some. Alright. Alright, moving up the melted shaft. You notice that the melting is only on the outer edges.
Okay.
Like something had burnt its way through. Obviously, it's melted. You can understand that part. Moving up closer, see, it's still Yvonta had the 2 successes. It looks like something is missing. Like there was something that covered this up before. And whatever the melting was seemed to... you know when you have 2 pieces of metal fused together and then you break one off, it has that like broken metal edge to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has kind of like that effect. Like something was here that was fused in place that was broken off at some point.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
It looks like outside in.
There's no real way to detect that because, like I said, it's like fused metal that was broken off. All you can see of that then is where the fused metal was connected to something, not what direction it might have broken in. Broken metal is like that sometimes.
And the hydrogen and oxygen's coming from in here. This could have been a safety valve. This could have been that they had a chamber here that was supposed to get superheated, possibly because it was part of a reactor, and it just overheated and blew into this shaft. So this could have just been a safety feature. You know, Chernobyl.
This is looking more and more like a rocket engine to me. Because there's hydrogen, there's oxidizer, and there's pumps.
Right, which is kind of weird because it's a rocket engine in the middle of a station. So let's climb inside and see what it is.
Strapped to a planet, rather.
Is the radiation level in here the same as outside?
I would assume that it would be less.
Okay, so this wasn't a radioactive thing. Once again, if you guys have seen Chernobyl, it was like, hey, fissionables. Hey, they got really hot. Hey, the air superheated and exploded.
Whoops.
That was a great series. Highly recommend.
So the fact that the radiation level isn't higher in here implies this wasn't a fissionable. So, okay, I'll just make a note and go in, we're going inside. If the radiation level was higher in here, we would turn around.
Okay. As you're heading up the tube, the sensors on your suit register register that the I keep wanting to say environment. What was I saying before? Atmospheric levels are
trace atmosphere.
The trace atmosphere is rising in thickness the higher up you go.
That's weird.
And it's
leaking out into the vacuum.
And it's rising in well, it's not rising in hydrogen content. It's rising in peroxide content.
Something's leaking then, and leaking, wow, for a while. Okay. All right, I guess.
Continuing on.
Did you mean oxygen or peroxide?
No, I said this is the path that has the hydrogen was coming down with traces of other elements. I'm saying that those other elements are rising in peroxide content.
Okay.
So it's more of a hydrogen peroxide mixture.
Yeah, that's a dangerous industrial chemical. Okay, interesting.
Okay.
We're looking for any sort of service panel or console, anything of interest as we go inside.
There are a number of bulbous offshoots that appear to connect to the tunnel, but they don't appear large enough to fit through, and they don't appear to seem they don't seem to have any purpose. Even looking at it with your craftsman eyes, Hemvala.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know what they're making.
Right, I'm just saying that there's these small tubes that seem to have some sort of... They jut into the tunnel, and they don't seem to have any purpose, although there does seem to be a large amount of stuff behind them.
And we are still completely vertical.
Like, if you look through it, it looks... sorry. I'm sorry, let me back up 1 second. There are these bulbous protrusions in the tunnel, right? And facing both directions, the direction you're coming from, the direction you came, there's like these little slits in those bulbs, and you can like poke a light in there. Otherwise, it's completely dark, and it looks like there's these what do you call them? Like scoop fans? Is that the right word?
Well, these look like these could be siphons or reservoirs that if they were making some sort of chemical in this tube, they would siphon it off there. Also, for the record, the tube we were in was straight up vertical. So for this tube to be coming off of the main tube, this would have to be either horizontal.
Yeah, no, this is like, let's see, not 45. We're looking at what, 70? This is like a 70 degree.
So this is a 70-degree angle that goes upwards. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
upwards and away from the tunnel you were in.
All right. Well, let's see if there's anything interesting in here.
Or rather, I should say, if the tunnel you were in was completely vertical, upward and to the right. The other tunnels were off to the left.
it could be that this tube that we're in has several of these side tubes, and the original purpose of the tube we were in was cooling to draft some of the heat from these center chambers, and this one just blew up. But let's
That
keep
would
going.
make sense.
Yeah, let's keep going till we can find a dead end. Maybe we can find some sort of pump that they use to put stuff in here and climb out that way.
All right. You get to what? Well, it's a dead end. You get to the very top, and there are a number. Let's say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get to about 6 smaller tunnels that branch off from this one, but they're very small, like half of a meter wide. It would be,
Okay.
and they branch off in all directions above you.
I think you got cut off there.
At what part?
Branches off in all directions above.
You. Like, let's see.
Okay.
If that's the tunnel you're in,
Okay.
they're doing like this.
So once again, how wide is the tube at this point?
The tube you're in is like 5 meters wide. These branch off into half-meter wide tubes.
It's my understanding that aside from the weird bulbous protrusions, this tube is made out of the same heat-resistant thermal tile that we encountered in the main shaft. Is that correct?
Yes. Actually,
Okay.
hold on one sec. Yeah.
Okay, so when we get to the end, it dead ends. So at some point, the smooth tile that we're in would have to taper off into some sort of dead end. Is it a smooth transition, or can we see any sign of a seal?
There would be a sign of what do you call it when you bolt a one type of metal on top of another type of metal? What's that process?
Bolting?
I'm sorry. Sometimes I think things are more complicated than they are, Raph.
I mean, it could also be shingling if you mean that one of them, like when you make a roof that has shingles, you deliberately overlap the tiles so the water slides off.
Well,
rather
it
than,
kind of like when you have a pipe, right? And you bolt
Yeah.
an end to a pipe, and then you make sure that
Right.
that pipe is water sealed. That kind of effect.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure I would call that shingling, but whatever. It's sealed in such a way to pour down. But that's a seal, which is a weak point. So that is a we might conceivably be able to break this seal by attacking it. The other thing I'm worried about is the area beyond this may actually be air pressurized, since we don't know what's beyond this. So I would vote that we try to break this seal.
I'd agree.
Any objections, Yavanta?
Nope.
Okay, let's go ahead and use our laser tools, which we'll try those first. And if that doesn't work, warping is ugly and messy. So also warping has a problem that it doesn't always break things. It often twists them into horrible shapes, which may actually make things worse.
Oh, this'll be fun.
Do you have a specific conductor power or just a leitmotif?
No, just lead motif.
Okay, yeah. So, and we can't direct that, so it might wind up twisted in metal. So let's try our conventional tools first. It makes more sense if I assist Yavanta because we're both craftsmen, but I'm a better assistant. So I would propose that this is mind and craft.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, none of us have sabotage,
All
right?
right.
My suit is repair, not sabotage.
I don't have any sabotage.
All right, well, that's cool.
Wait, do spacesuits don't have repair, do they?
No, mine is an engineering suit, which is a spacesuit that has repair. Yours, I think, is just a spacesuit.
Yes.
I have assisted you. You may claim a bonus D12. That is 2 successes. That is something a skilled person could do. Do you have a favorite use for craft?
Not yet. I'm thinking I do want to pick breaking things. For to get the
Sabotage.
favorite use on sabotage.
Sabotage is usually an acceptable use. Is that cool with you, GM?
Yep.
All right, reroll 1-1. Come on, show me a 4. Yes, that's 3 successes. Something only a master could do.
What weapon were you using to do this with, or what tool?
We have a variety of tiny mechanical tools. None of us actually have power cutters. I think we both have laser torches. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have laser torch on spare.
Right. And Yavante, chime in anytime.
I just have a laser pistol.
Okay, so yeah. Plus, we also have the suits, which have their own tools, but not anything in heavy industrial. So we're sitting there trying to dismantle it. So like, and literally, we can spend hours on this trying to find bolts, turning them, weak points that we slowly seal and rock. I mean, we're having at this. We're not in a hurry. And Jewel, you're on lookout duty if anything sneaks up on our ass.
Yup. Well,
Well,
it's just a clear, empty tunnel. So
plus
how we
also
always.
we're experienced spacer type people. So the one thing we're worried about is as soon as we breach something into another room with air pressure, we're going to start hearing a hissing is going to happen. So, yeah. So we're having at it. We're like two space shuttle people trying to repair the fucking space shuttle. Pardon my French.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just double checking one quick thing. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, good to know. Hydrogen peroxide is not classified as a flammable.
No, I'm sure it will burn.
Yeah, hydrogen peroxide is liquid at the
It's
very
well,
least.
it's not a flammable, but it is an oxidizer.
Yeah, no, it can be gas.
No, I mean an oxidizer may explode in contact with organic materials, catalysts, or impurities. Just doing quick research to make sure I got everything right.
Yeah, that's the other thing is we are trying to do this cautiously. It does say it is a non-flammable gas. However, it's toxic as shit. So
Yep.
Don't breathe this.
It's also weird. I'm looking at it's non-flammable, but you can set it on fire.
Right.
So we gotta watch out for that. If you do set it on fire, it's a bad day.
Which was slightly confusing to me for a moment, but I understand now.
In practice, as I quote Wikipedia, hydrogen peroxide will undergo potentially explosive thermal decomposition if heated to 150 degrees centigrade.
Yep.
Okay.
Which
so
makes perfect sense.
We're being extra cautious. The fact that this is a seal means we can try to crowbar it open. We're trying to use our tools sparingly, but we rolled 3 successes, so maybe we can do this carefully.
Right. And both of you are working on it, or one of you is just helping and directing the other one?
Since I am assisting, that means we're both doing it. Jewel is on lookout.
Right. All right,
I mean,
and you.
It might be like I'm prying it open while Yavanta is sliding between.
And I'm literally just enjoying Yavanta's piggyback ride right now. So.
Yep. And clarify for me: are you trying to cut a small hole into the seal, or are you just trying to break the complete seal?
We want to escape. We are trying to somehow create a 1 meter wide breach that we could slip through.
Okay, so a 1 meter wide breach in this 5 meter tunnel. So you're trying to carve out, or
we're basically trying to since this is an end cap. Ideally, I'd like to snap the entire end cap off of this tube.
Understood. That's what I was trying to clarify. So is that what you're shooting for? To get the entire outer edge, or are you trying to cut a smaller hole, a 1 meter hole in the middle of it?
I need to step away for a moment. I'm going to let other people answer that. I'll be right back.
Again, we're trying to escape, so the whole thing seems to make sense right now.
Yeah,
we want to get enough space for us to slip through and out of here.
As long as it's big enough for Ivantana to get out of there, then I guess that's all we need because she's the biggest one of us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then I will wait till Raph gets back to describe what happens, seeing as it affects all of you.
Oh boy. How dead are we?
Sorry about that.
Say, Raph gets back, nothing happens. Cliffhanger achieved.
Sorry about accidentally rolling that die. My finger slipped on the mouse, and I'm serious. That's what happened.
It's all cool.
Like, you'll be sitting there and you'll get a shiver. My finger just did that. Just my finger. Hey,
yeah.
Twitch for no reason.
I guess a Jewel question while rating is, Jewel still feels those instructions or directions in his head, doesn't he?
Yeah. All the time.
And at this moment, given he's gone quite a bit up, where is it pointing to now?
Directly to the right.
And would that be
into the wall.
straight through the ring?
Nope,
Yeah,
that would be right
okay.
through a wall. Which is to
Okay.
say, and not in a direction it looks like if you had a GPS, right? Have you ever heard of a place called Maze Mania?
No, actually.
It's a place down here where it's like a bunch of fences with locks on them, and you can make a maze out of them. And they change the maze every couple of hours. And the idea is that you go in there with a punch card and you punch a time on the cheese and you try to find your way back out of the maze too. And if you do it within a certain amount of time, you win a prize.
That sounds pretty fun. And
probably doesn't help though that I just looked it up real quick and the first result is abandoned Maze Mania.
So it's definitely coming from the side now, so our escape is definitely fortuitous. We are close to our objective, and this is perfect.
Okay, so sorry about that. Something weird happened here. So
Cool.
Did we? Are we under attack? Are people trying to kill us?
No, sorry, I was waiting for you to come back to reveal what happened. So you sorry, I didn't break up there. I was just trying to the word again. Once again, words are escaping me today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm bad at this. I'm sorry. What do you do when you God damn it. Quick, someone call a doctor. I'm having a breakdown. Shit. When you what were the tools you were using? You were using a laser torch. When you use a laser torch on something, it's called
cutting.
Yeah, no, when you use a blowtorch to cut metal, that's called
welding.
No, welding is putting things together. When you separate things, what is that called?
Okay, it's called lancing.
Okay, so when you lance this cap on this wall, and you start busting or you start prying the metal apart,
right?
You get a very large blowback of hydrogen peroxide gases.
I figured the area beyond this was pressurized, which is a little weird, but I guess it's a chamber of hydrogen peroxide that feeds into this. Okay.
But the thing about gas leaks or oxygen leaks or oxygen leaks and things of that nature is that when they're leaking into a vacuum, the pressure, the pushback of such things is proportional to the size of the hole and your closeness to it. So if you step back for a moment, or a step back by a couple of degrees, you won't feel the pressure as hard.
Right. Well, the question is how much pressure there is. Like a normal 1 atmosphere of pressure is described as 15 pounds per square inch.
Right, but so again, the pressure is also proportional to how close you are to it. It's like if you were standing next to an open hole in a ship exposed to vacuum, you won't just get sucked out from across the room. It's like putting your foot next to a drain in a tub. The closer you are to the drain, the more you feel it.
Right. This is like an exposed pipe, and it's flowing out now.
Right, but it also
how long does it flow?
It also matters how much weight there is behind anyway. So what happens? A big jet of gas, a high pressure gas, comes in here.
Right.
Okay. Right. We were ready for that, which is why we're making a tiny hole at first. It's also a layered shingled seal. So yeah, so the two of us are standing side by side, then the gas starts to come in and we go, huzzah, which is something we couldn't really have measured because I'm guessing that the thickness of these tiles is way too thick and way too sound resistant for any kind of sonar that we would have to tell us what's beyond it. So yeah, so okay, the next room has a lot of high pressure gas in it. Once we breach the hole, it might be easier to mechanically make the hole larger because the air that's coming in here. So Yvonne and I would be on either side of the gaseous hole and try to make it larger. First, it would be easier, and then as the hole gets larger, it might be more difficult, depending on how much hydrogen peroxide gas is behind this. If it's just a small room, this will run out very quickly. If it's an entire planetoid atmosphere, this might never run out. So, or might not run out in our lifetimes. So we'll start enlarging the hole.
I have a now I'm getting into science questions. Okay, you know how anthills, right? Anthills are built to the point where they can flood, but they have chambers that are designed that sit above the water line.
Yeah, you go down and then up. You have water
Right.
caches.
Right. Would that work for a gas too? Does
Yes.
a
in theory,
vacuum isn't built a vacuum isn't such that well, no, it is a 0 degree pressure, isn't it?
let me. I can answer the question two ways. First of all, because this gets into modern gas tanks. Like when you watch a movie, they always have the car explode, but actual gas tanks can't actually do that for two reasons. Number one, compartmentalization. Any place that you expect to become depressurized, you would put walls and airlocks, or at least just doorways in between. Like you see on those sub movies and those giant ship movies like Titanic, where you're supposed to be able to seal decks off so it can't explode. So the chamber, you would build lots of small chambers, each of which had their own doorway. So if a leak was discovered, you could have the door close and seal that area off. Failing that, you could build lots of duckbill ends like your toilet bowl or your sink has. That would mean that when the gas tried to escape, it couldn't go through a straight line. It would have to take several bends. It would still leak, but the fact that it's not a straight through vector means it would have to wind around, just like water would have to wind down your pipe. That would slow it down while putting more pressure on your walls. That would work for a while, but if the water pressure built so much, it would start to crumple your hull, or the air pressure might crumple the hull. So you can also use both approaches to where you have several small compartments, each with their several bulkheads. So really, if this was a large reservoir of hydrogen peroxide, they would probably have compartmentalized it. That said, whether those systems would kick in to close the doors to seal this area off is another question, since this is a malfunctioning unit.
Right, and my opinion on it would be that the structure has already demonstrated that it can handle stray gases without leaking into further vacuum, and that
Right.
there is a finite amount of space elsewhere in this facility that is vacuum to
Yeah,
fill. It doesn't go straight out into space here.
but we don't know. There could be tons of gasoline, tons of gas beyond the seal.
Well, the thing there is that it's a finite space, but you don't know what the size of the space beyond is
Right.
for it to
Well,
evacuate into.
We start trying to enlarge the hole.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a large amount of gas escaping for quite a while as you're doing this. So
Okay, so we enlarged the hole to be about 1 meter, but we're still getting half a pat, like one or more atmospheres of pressure leaking out here.
do remember that Yavanta is a giant when you're taking into account your measurements.
I know, that's why I'm worried. Though I said if we're gonna make the hole 1 meter, I was thinking, shit, we gotta make at least 3 meters wide to get Yavanta through. But
Well, while you were gone, Yavanta was saying that one specific thing, that Yavanta's a giant. We got to make it big enough for me to get through.
baby steps. Let's make a 1 meter wide hole first and see what happens. So a bunch of gas leaks out, and we can feel the pressure because you can just put your hand in and feel it getting pushed back. And so we could say, well, we can wait for the gas to leak out, and so we can wait a couple minutes. Is it still 1 atmosphere or more? First of all, is it more than 1 atmosphere?
It's more than 1 atmosphere.
Okay, so high pressure gas starts zooming through here. We separate it. Well, eventually all the gas will leak out and the pressure will drop.
I mean, when you puncture it, it's probably a lot more like a tea kettle, right? Squirting out gas at such high pressure that if it was, well, I guess you could hear it, couldn't you? Because there is an atmosphere of it fueling the area around you.
Okay, here's the deal. The gas was being stored at a pressure. When we breach the hole and the gas starts to come through, it might come through slightly higher because, like, if you have a balloon, for example, and you poke a hole in it, air will come out of the balloon. You can feel that air moving faster than the air.
I'm saying it's high pressure. It's coming out like steam out of a tea kettle. It's coming out super fast, very high pressure.
So there was a room filled with a lot of gas at high pressure. It's hydrogen peroxide, so it could only be at a certain pressure, because after a certain pressure, the temperature goes up and would actually make the gas combust. I'm
Can
not
we
gonna.
observe what's on the other side now,
I
actually?
just have a very simple question. After a few minutes of this, if the room beyond this is a small room, the pressure will start to equalize because pressure is a function of mass, a function of density. After a lot of the gas already escaped, the rest of the gas would be at a lower pressure. So even though it comes out very rapidly at first, eventually the room, when it runs out of gas, would drop the pressure. That's why I said we don't know how big this room is or how much gas it has.
Your question is after a couple of minutes, does it die down a bit? No.
Yes. Does it die down after a few minutes?
I said no.
Okay. That implies that there is a gargantuan chamber beyond this, filled like tanker sized.
Let's take a peek. What can we observe?
Well, you can't stick your head in this hole. It's gas that is like a high pressure wind. You'd have to resist
Right,
the
but I
wind to go
mean,
inside.
depending on how deep the hole is, we could observe it from an angle and look inside without sticking our head straight into it.
I have a better point. If we had a fourth dimensional being that was immune to conventional physics, it could go look and see what is inside.
You almost speak sense there. If only we had one, and I just look over to Firestorm now hanging onto the hole.
Yeah. So go
and
ahead.
Firestorm will go ahead and slip in.
Yeah, go ahead and slip them in there, and they can have a look around.
Question.
Yeah.
Leitmotif. Can you see through its eyes? Does it talk to you? What's the normal mannerism for that?
I was going to ask that too.
Ever seen Bakugan?
No. My turn to say no.
Okay, because that's a big popular. Have you seen Digimon?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the first episode.
So basically, it'll have to come back and tell me.
Okay. It will have to come back and tell you.
That is fair.
The leitmotifs are handled exactly like animal companions from an anime. Okay, I tried two hugely popular ones. Shonen Jump. Have you seen not Shonen Jump? What is that one with the with the guys and they
Zatch Bell. Gotcha.
Okay, if we have to
I'd
settle on
almost
Zatch
forgotten,
Bell,
but that's actually perfect.
Yeah, if we have to settle on Zatch Bell, that's it. So yeah, that's
what's wrong with Zatch Bell?
Imagine he threw his dollar.
It was the JoJo of its day. Come on, man.
Anyway, guys, it's Ractus's channel. Fill the comments.
Yeah, I don't like JoJo, by the way.
Oh, now everyone's gonna fill with
hates
JoJo. There's no escape.
I do, in fact, hate JoJo. My friend's been trying to desperately get me watch it, and I watched 4 episodes in 3 years.
Oh my god. Yeah. So, but stands don't talk very much on JoJo. So imagine he sends his Zatch Bell doll in and it comes back out.
Okay. How do you imagine Firestorm talks, by the way?
The
deep gravelly voice.
Yeah, no, I meant what's its voice like, not how does it talk.
To clarify, the leitmotif is an extension of your personality. So, Jewel, what is your personality?
Angry. So it is a deep, gravelly, angry voice.
His leitmotif is an edgelord. It sounds like a death metal character.
And Firestorm can see normal things, or
it has normal senses. It only can see normal things. It would just come back and say it is full of poison gas. Poison.
It is an infinite void of hydrogen peroxide.
It's fucking dark in there, boss.
Oh, and it's also dark.
Can't see a thing.
Here, take this match.
Yeah, but that wouldn't work either.
Like a floor on the other side.
I think the maximum distance it can get away from you is 10 meters, right?
It could go 30.
Well, it can go in there, and you can at least go in there.
Actually, it could go even. I think it could go 100 meters, but I can send it 30 at a time to react.
Right, so you could wander away 100 meters, but it would go. Yeah, so you can send it in there, at least feel around.
Right, that would be the objective.
More goddamn tunnel, boss.
Is it all vertical, or is it at least walkable?
Just like this one.
I'll just look over at the rest of you. So,
Like I
side
said,
by side
this is
at an angle tunnels.
This is a planetoid that may have an atmosphere. Like, if we've tapped into a large reservoir of which has like just a large uncompartmentalized atmosphere. I mean, this would be like, being in space and poking a hole into the earth, like at sea level, and suddenly all this air starts to come out. I'm the only one who watched Fringe, right?
Probably.
Okay.
You said Fringe, and I thought Warehouse 13. I went the wrong way.
No, yeah, similar type show. Yeah, because Fringe, they had a problem where, oh, yeah, and teleport gates are opening up on the Earth, sucking everything out of it. So our Earth's going to, like, disappear. So, that's going to suck.
So Earth Final Conflict.
Wow. Okay. So, after a few minutes, the pressure doesn't equalize. Is that... and,
Correct.
we could wait a few minutes more. We can measure the pressure that's coming out here because we have spacesuits, and I have an engineering suit. One of my job is finding leaks. So we could see if eventually the pressure drops at all. So
I'm not sure that it will, but to go back to a question from earlier, so you said my current sense is that our objective, or at least where I'm being told to go or sensing to go, is, quote, to my right, basically through the walls here.
Right.
And that includes, like, this hole, or is that the right orientation, or what's going on?
It doesn't seem to be in a direction where there is a path.
Well, there's a strong wind. After a certain point, I could try to, physically climb through the wind tunnel and get in there. But is there any sign that the pressure is dropping at all after, like, 30
The
minutes of this?
wind that's the wind. The expel?
The gas, just say the gas.
Yeah, but I'm trying to indicate that what's coming through. The gas is coming through. Your sensors are going to show that's about 1,000 psi.
Wow, that's ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
1,000 psi through a 1 meter wide hole.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And after 5 minutes, it's still 1,000 psi through a 1 meter wide hole.
It's dropping, but ever so slowly.
Okay. Well, it will geometrically decrease. So if it's dropping after like 10 or 15 minutes, it.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Then yeah, it would be the same. It'd still be 1,000
okay.
psi.
So
that's what I thought would happen. So yeah, we're
nearer to our objective. We're at least at the right height now.
Well, Jesus Christ. So the planet has a huge collection of hydrogen peroxide, and sorry, I'm having a few gears in my head that aren't quite clicking, because somehow when we came to the planet and were told to land, we were told to land at a large hole.
You weren't told to land. You asked for permission to land, and they granted it.
And the only place we could... So instead of a landing pad, like these guys in their ship and I in my ship, the most likely place we could find to land. So first of all, we didn't get a navigation signal telling us where to land. Is that what I'm understanding? Like when we asked permission, they said, "Sure, you can land." Click. Is that what happened?
They directed you down the tube that you landed in.
So right. So whatever navigation authority we contacted told us to go in this tube. We went in this tube, and the only area we could be received was a vestibule that had some robots in it, but no way to connect to the rest of the station. We wandered around for a little bit in tubes, and I guess these air shaft tubes just lead into a high pressure area of hydrogen peroxide, whereas the lower tubes are infested with deadly robots. So it looks like this... Okay, so my conclusion that I'm going to suggest to the rest of you guys in character is This is effectively a dead end because these tubes are obviously not meant for people to be inside, and they lead into a larger industrial area that contains very large quantities of pressurized industrial gas, not intended for people. So
Right.
the only places that we should be going would be the areas that have all of the death robots. So this is not somewhere we can be or will help us. We should go back the way we came. That
Right.
is
So we do
that's
have that fan, and I'm not sure if the goop is still there.
we'll just have to jam it again. We got more of this stuff.
Right.
But this
And
is
I feel
very
like I'm still
clearly a dead
vague on
end.
like where our objective is relative to us.
I'm supposed to give the black toast to somebody. No,
Mhm.
none of the robots here, even though there was a navigation authority that responded to me and told me to land, there was no one to receive me, nor was there an obvious place for us to go. The only reason we didn't go down the other passage is because it has a large number of dangerous robots in it. And I would like to defer to Jewel as being our. Which one of you is hearing the voices in your head telling you where to go?
That's me.
Okay. I would like to defer to Jewel and have follow your lead because I feel like I was the one who suggested this avenue, but I have just wasted everyone's time, or in the words of Edison, just found a solution that wouldn't work. So I don't feel qualified to call shots anymore, and I would like to defer to Jewel to make decisions on where we would go next.
Right. Which I guess goes back to I'm still confused about which direction. Like Theta, you said there's no path there, but we've made it clear that we're willing to go through walls. Was is the direction I'm feeling at all like through the hole that we've already cut?
No, that's what I was
Or
saying. Um, have you ever played a game before, right, where we had like an objective marker, and the objective marker was just like an arrow that pointed in a direction?
yes.
Yeah, you're basically having that, but in like just a sense, right?
Okay,
Your sense before was pointing like up and to the right before, and you followed that all the way up to this path, and now it's just pointing to the right, right?
Okay.
You
Right,
turn
and
your
that tells
head,
us
you
we've
look to the
made
right.
progress.
Yeah, you turn your head, you look to the right, and it's just the fucking wall, man. You're just looking at the fucking wall.
Okay, so I will kind of look at the hole that we made and go, let's take a bit of the sealant, seal that up, because that's what sealant does. And let's try this wall over here. I don't know if it's pressurized on the other side or not like this,
Well,
but it
we've
might
got
actually bring us closer. We could at least try one more time.
okay, boss. We have a problem.
What's up?
To quote my favorite Futurama joke, when the ship sinks beneath the sea, that's over 200 atmospheres of pressure. Oh, well, how much pressure can the ship stand? Well, it's a spaceship, so somewhere between 0 and 1.
That is the greatest part.
So this sealant is designed to patch a leak in your ship from going from 1 atmosphere of pressure to 0. It's not designed to stop a 1,000 psi jet of gas coming through a 1 meter wide hole. It's not going to seal that.
Well, now that we've caused permanent damage to the station, let's cause some more.
I'm all, yeah, I would suggest we should just retreat from this place. I'm a little surprised that after like 10 or 15
Right,
minutes.
no, but what I'm saying is we could maybe try one more target because maybe it is through this way. Maybe this leads to a different result.
So what do you want us to do?
Second question, by the way, who has the black toast?
I have the
Me.
black toast. Oh, that's right. I gave it to
Say,
you.
two people just said I do.
Sorry, I forgot. I gave the black toast to you and said, well, I don't know if this is solved.
Right, and then the robots didn't care about me anymore, so...
Oh,
good.
it's whoever's holding the black toast they apparently don't care about. That's right. Because they didn't seem to care about me when I showed up and tried to give the black toast. So apparently, whoever holds the black toast is immune.
That's a good theory.
I don't know if the black toast emits any ARFID signal or anything. It doesn't seem to. I don't know how they detect it.
I guess quick clarification on the toast. Is it like just a black box or a disc or what?
It is a item that looks like a piece of burnt black toast. I mean, if it's readable media, none of you have investigated it with anything to be able to determine if it is readable media or how it.
I mean,
it is an oddly shaped black object, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume that if it has an ARFID tag inside it, that if you ping on a certain radio frequency with a certain radio set of signals, it would respond.
Do you do that?
Figuring out what that is a role of mind and academics, and could be 1, 2, or more successes depending on how complicated the ARFID tag is. Which is why I haven't endeavored to try, because first of all, I've been busy and didn't realize this behavior until later. And secondly, that's not my forte. So, also, I remember when the robots attacked us, I thought they attacked all 3 of us, but I may be misremembering.
They
One
ignored me.
Yeah, when one
the
robot,
cybernetic ones did.
When one of the cybernetic organisms went to attack you guys, one of them specifically walked past Jewel, although stared Jewel down to attack one of you other guys.
Right. So it may be that there was a specific ARFID signal in that responds to. But the problem is like I'm not enough of an egghead to try and figure out how to duplicate that. First of all, none of us are synths, so none of us can duplicate that. And it might be that there is some sort of signal in it that they respond to. But apparently, it only makes the single person who is carrying it safe. Which means, in theory, if Yavanta was carrying the black toast and you, pointing at Jewel, that they might ignore Yavanta and just go after me. Because they certainly, but we don't know. I mean, I doubt they would attack husbands. I don't know what their discerning power is. I don't know anything about these cyborgs other than they're extremely tough and very numerous. So,
very true.
I suggested we should find an alternate route because maybe we could get around them without engaging them. That's why I said, evidently,
I feel like
this is
right
not
now
the case.
that's what we're actually doing. If we
Well-
wanted to go through all of the regular synths, they would probably be constantly engaging us all the way up here. But we've actually reached a great height in this facility without having to deal with them whatsoever.
Yeah, but we're still stuck in the plumbing. We can't get out of the plumbing. That
right,
area
and
that's in there.
I think this direction might take us out of the plumbing.
What do
I
you
tap
mean?
that section of the wall that I'm feeling, or at least the arrowed direction that I'm feeling.
So what wall are they tapping? What are features of interest on this wall that you are tapping?
There are no features of interest. It's also made of that heat-resistant material.
Right. Right. I agree that you want to go in that direction, but that is an impassable wall. So we have to find another way.
It was to our tools, right, Theta?
Sorry, that sentence didn't mean anything to me.
The wall that I'm pointing to is one of the heat-resistant tough panels, right?
Yeah, it's a really, really tough wall, and on top of that, it's heat resistant. We do not have tools that could get through that wall.
What about warp?
It might be possible, but generic warp damage twists and malforms things. So it might breach the wall, but warping is warping. It would be like if I wanted to make a hole in a piece of paper by crumpling it up.
Well,
it might
crumpling up a section of wall while the rest of it remains static would take some of it away.
it might because you're crumpling it up and at attention, it might breach it, it might not. I'm not above trying such a thing.
I guess, like, more to the point, it does do damage, and
How
as
much
far as
damage
we've
does
gone,
it do?
I can at least try to damage it enough to get through.
How much damage does it do?
Warp adds 2, and it relies on the vulnerable and
Right. Which the
finisher
wall
parts.
Right. What's the damage number? Is it 0, 1,
6.
2? 6. Is it weak or full damage?
At least I was pretty sure it was 6. I'll need to double check. It's been
6 sounds extremely high to me. It does not sound correct.
2, 3. With all of this active, it would be 5.
I'm not asking if it's active. I'm asking what the damage number is.
Flat 0. It relies on
Okay.
the tags.
Okay, right. So the problem is it relies on the tag. So if the wall has like 2 or 3 points of invulnerability, which it could easily have at this, with its structural integrity, then we start relying on your tags. It's not warp resistant, so that would be 2. It might be finishing resistant, although I doubt that. But the problem with finishing is finishing only works if you actually damage it in the first place. So you have finish and warp. What are your other tags?
Vulnerable.
Okay, right. So in other words, if the problem is if the wall has 3 or more points of invulnerability, you are not getting through it because your attack does 0. You get +2 for the warp. The other ones don't kick in unless you actually damage it in the first place. And if it has 3 points of invulnerability and you're doing a flat 2 points of damage, you can never actually successfully damage the wall enough to breach it.
So let's do the test then. Does it have 3 invulnerability or more?
Right.
As Firestorm is commanded to go ahead and take a swipe at it.
All right, so let's try it.
All right, so Firestorm attacks the wall, swiping, I believe you said.
Yes.
You see the claws rake out against the wall, and when you step back, or when Firestorm steps back to see what it's done, you see that it's done nothing.
Yeah.
There we go.
I suspected that, these wall. I mean, a little under the hood, we have built into the game that, certain wall, things can be nigh indestructible.
Right.
Usually,
this is the first thing that has actually been indestructible to me so far.
Yeah. Well, no, you tried this before on another part of this wall.
Yeah.
Not this wall, but I mean another wall of the structure.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is possible to make things that resist. I mean, I'm sure you're like scuffing it up and making it look nasty, but yeah. So no, that's why the game gives things like finishing and vulnerable. If you could hurt it, you could totally destroy it, but some things are just too resistant. So yeah. So I mean, I'm glad we tried it, but like I said, I think we're gonna have to go back down and brave the zombie robots. Zombie cyborgs.
Well, there are still these couple of tunnels here, right? You said they were a half meter across?
Right.
That would be our only other option then retreat.
A half meter wide tunnel is only about 5 hands wide. Yavanta is not going to fit in that.
Mm-hmm.
And only somebody with contortionist or a weird body type could expect to make any navigation because that is very, very small. Do you have contortionist?
No.
I also do not have contortionist. I am a very large, nasty trapdoor spider. So
is that
I don't.
Even the giftedness system?
Yeah. There are weird, slippery things. An Elver could possibly get through that.
Actually, don't you have your husband around?
Yes, I do. My husband is non-sentient. He could not tell you. He's dumber than your leader.
Here's a question: is your husband in your suit with you, or does your husband have this tiny little space suit?
He's in a little habitare on my back.
Okay.
All right, so can't necessarily send him in then.
Nah, he's fine. See.
Well, that's what I was wondering, if he's in your suit, or does he have like a tiny little pet spacesuit?
My suit has a special like vestibule for carrying him around.
Okay.
But yeah, I do agree. We are running out of options again.
Yeah, really, I should have eaten my husband ages ago, but I need to get a replacement.
Other than
first.
lunge, I'm not sure what else we could possibly do.
Well,
unless we are to try to like go into the other side of this and just see what's there, which Firestorm's already done and didn't see much. It was just more tunnel and more vertical tunnel, right?
Apparently, it's a lot of high pressure gas. It's still coming out.
It is.
Right, but like we know nothing about like the shape of it, or at least as I understand it, which was the main question.
The shape of gas.
No, the
It's a
shape of
sequel
the
to
other
Shape
side
of
of
Water.
this hole that we made.
We have no idea about the size of the reservoir behind it. The gas is coming through with a pressure that I believe is too great to resist for us to actually go inside the other room. And then once we were inside the other room, we'd have to worry about getting sucked back out.
And your
And
fourth
then
dimensional creature who pushed its way past got 100 meters up and called back that it was still
30
just
meters.
a tunnel. Well, no, because you can do 30 meters at a time. 200 meters was, I believe, the ruling.
Okay, right. So whatever that is, it's a large room. And also, even if we...
No, it's a long tunnel. It's still a long tunnel.
Right, it's a long tunnel filled with high pressurized gas, and even then we can't necessarily cut our way out of it because it's full of high pressure quantities of hydrogen peroxide, which if we tried to cut our way out would actually spark a fire.
Hmm.
In theory, we could set a bomb here, get to a safe distance, and light that entire tunnel on fire because this gas is still coming out here.
Right, and probably take out everything around it. That'd be
Well, so the problem is that there's conservation of mass.
I mean, you want to get to that wall, right?
If we lit this gas on fire, it combusted. The oxygen would combine with the hydrogen to make another inert compound, but it wouldn't necessarily create a Okay, couple problems with this plan, but it's hilarious. Okay, so the gas would spontaneously discharge a large amount of energy. When it discharged a large amount of energy, it would rapidly expand because it would become hot, which would be explosive. The explosion would require one of two things, or both things, to give. First of all, a jet of superheated flame would rush down this corridor that we're in right now.
It is inescapable for us.
Right, which would so we'd have to be at a minimum safe distance, which is not an impossibility. We could just get on the ship. We could set the bomb for 24 hours, get back on a ship, get to a safe distance, detonate this bomb and let it explode. That would have a jet here. Then the gas itself would catch on fire, and we don't know how much of it there is. I think you guys have heard that the Centralia coal fire is still burning today, 20 years later.
Yup.
So that could fill that entire chamber. Or what might happen is that chamber might rupture because when it caught on fire, it might explode and rupture other things inside the station we don't even know about. But none of that solves our essential problem, which is you're hearing a voice in your head for someone you're supposed to meet, and I'm supposed to live with a black toast. So, I think our best bet, if I can make a suggestion, might be to backtrack and try to get past those robots because those are the only accessible places. Once again, as I said, the only reason I said not go that way is I didn't feel like getting in a big fight, but this looks like a dead end.
Right. Well, it's been at least an hour or so since we've been down there. It's going to be another at least half hour once we get down there to get back. I wonder if they've gotten bored and gone back to a more static state.
Maybe they went home. Maybe we're lucky.
Right.
Maybe they despawned.
Well, they're definitely habit all the rings around the hole. How high up have we climbed anyway, Theta?
Several stories, I think.
Hold on a sec. Let me do a quick reference check. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. About 750 meters.
And that is nothing compared to the depth that the hole was that we came down originally with the ship. I think that was at least 2 kilometers or something.
Did I say 750? That's what I said, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's right then. No, the tunnel that you came down, that your ship landed in, was about 1 kilometer long.
Okay, we've actually almost made it all the way up to the surface.